In the heart of the Catholic Church, something powerful is happening. A new pope has been elected. His name is spreading across the world, Pope Leo XIV. At the same time, devotion to a modern young saint is rising like never before. But what's catching everyone by surprise is a hidden connection between the two, a spiritual thread woven between a teenage boy from the early 2000s and the newly elected pope. This isn't coincidence. This is divine alignment. The boy's name, Carlo Acutis. As the bells rang and white smoke rose over the Vatican, Catholics everywhere were filled with a deep sense of hope. Pope Leo XIV's election was unexpected. No one had predicted his name, let alone his rise to the papacy. But while the world focused on his background, his speeches, and his plans for the Church, a quieter story began to emerge. A story that ties him directly to Blessed Carlo Acutis, a teenage boy admired for his deep love of the Eucharist and his fearless embrace of technology as a tool for evangelization. Let's begin with his papal name, Leo. The name had been dormant for over a century. The last pope to use it was Leo the Fiend, a man of great courage and intellect. He was the one who gave us Rerum Novarum, a document that forever changed how the Church addressed justice, human dignity, and the rights of workers. Leo XIII also held a fierce devotion to prayer, especially the Rosary. And there's more. He's known for having received a chilling vision, a conversation between Jesus and Satan. From that moment, he composed the prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, which Catholics still pray today for protection. Now imagine this. Pope Leo XIV was elected on Saint Michael's feast day, and he chooses the name Leo, a name rich with symbolism, with spiritual battle, and with holy resistance. It was like history was repeating itself, not by accident, but by providence. This was no ordinary papal election. Even further back in time, Pope Leo IX, another bearer of the name, had a near-death experience. As a boy named Bruno, he was bitten by a serpent. During his suffering, he saw Saint Benedict, who appeared with a crucifix and touched him. He was healed. That boy would become Pope Leo IX, remembered for defending the Church and renewing the faith. He also redesigned the Saint Benedict medal, a sacred object still used today for spiritual protection. So now we have three popes, Leo IX, Leo XIII, and Leo XIV, each connected to spiritual warfare, healing, holy visions, and a deep desire to protect the Church. And this is where Carlo Acutis steps into the picture. Carlo was born in 1991 and died in 2006 at the age of 15. But his brief life was like a bright flame. He was in love with the Eucharist and often said, "The Eucharist is my highway to heaven." He believed that spending time in front of the Blessed Sacrament was like soaking up the sun. He even created an online catalogue of Eucharistic miracles, using technology to bring people back to God. He played video games. He loved soccer. He was a normal teenager, but with a soul lit on fire for Christ. When he was diagnosed with leukemia, he didn't curse God or fall into despair. He offered his suffering for the Pope and the Church. His last words to his mother were filled with peace. "I'm happy to die because I've lived my life without wasting even a minute on things that don't please God." He was beatified in 2020, and now his full sainthood is expected soon. But here's the part that will leave you speechless. During the preparations for Carlo's canonization, researchers uncovered something remarkable. The high school Carlo attended in his final years was called the Leo XIII Institute. Yes, you heard that right. The same Pope Leo XIII who inspired the new Pope Leo XIV. The same Pope whose spiritual vision shaped a generation of Catholic teaching. And the same Pope who once wrote more about the Rosary than any other in Church history. This is no ordinary detail. This is a divine signature, a young saint in the making, formed at a school named after a holy pope. A new pope, inspired by that very same man. And both of them, Carlo and Pope Leo XIV, walking the same path of holiness, truth, and Eucharistic devotion. This spiritual bond stretches across generations. It's a message to the whole world. When Pope Leo XIV canonizes Carlo Acutis, it will not just be a celebration of sainthood. It will be the continuation of a spiritual mission, one that started with Leo XIII, burned brightly through Carlo, and is now being renewed through Leo XIV. Even the timing of it all speaks to God's hand. Carlo's canonization was supposed to happen earlier this year, but when Pope Francis passed away, church events were put on hold. Now, with Pope Leo XIV stepping in, it's very possible that the canonization of Carlo Acutis will be his first major act as Pope. What a statement that would be. A Pope lifting up a teenager as a model of holiness, a church embracing not just tradition but technology. Not just the saints of old, but the saints of now. Let's go even deeper. Pope Leo III was known for his deep devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. He wrote 11 encyclicals on the Rosary. That's more than any other pope in history. He believed that Mary's intercession was key in times of global unrest and spiritual crisis. Now, Pope Leo XIV begins his papacy in the month of May, a month dedicated to Mary, a month filled with rosaries, flower processions, and Marian devotions across the Catholic world. In his first homily, Pope Leo XIV called Mary the star of our time, urging Catholics to return to her with childlike faith and trust. Do you see the pattern? St. Michael the Archangel, the Rosary, spiritual warfare, a teenager using the internet for holiness, a pope rising with the name of a lion chosen on a feast day of angels. This is the movement of the Holy Spirit. This is divine choreography. God is showing us something, that holiness is not outdated, that sainthood is still possible, that a teenager who loved video games can stand side by side with a pope who leads the church. Carlo Acutis saw the church not as an institution, but as a family. He saw the Eucharist not as a symbol, but as a living person. And now, through his sainthood, the world will see that faith and holiness can thrive, even in a digital age. So what does all of this mean? It means we are entering a new chapter in the church, a chapter that blends the ancient with the modern, a chapter where the digital and the divine meet, a chapter that invites not just the old and wise but the young and daring. It means that you too are being called, not someday, not later, but now. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be a pope, you just have to be willing to love God, willing to stand for truth, willing to let your life shine, like Carlos did. As he once said, "We are all born originals, don't die as copies." Let that sink in. Your life matters, your choices matter, and your path to sainthood starts with saying yes to God, right where you are. Let Pope Leo XIV and St. Carlo Acutis remind you of one thing: holiness isn't for another time. It's for this generation. It's for you.